Welcome to Grand National Cross Country Racing, America's largest off-road series for motorcycles and ATVs. I'm your host, Jason Wygant, and we're going to get in depth and find out what makes this series so big. We're here at the final round, the Ironman GNCC in Crawfordsville, Indiana, and we're going to get inside the pits, get it on the racetrack. But first, we're going to talk to our pro racers and find out what GNCC racing is all about. First guy to look at, of course, is the champion of our series, Bill Balance from Kentucky. We're going to catch up to Bill and see why he likes GNCC racing so much.
Well, it's just something I fell in love with the very first time I started riding. You know, I come out here and I started off riding motocross, and I come out here and there was a 2-hour event, and instead of traveling 6-7 hours and getting to ride two 15-minute motos, I can come out here and ride for 2 hours at a time. And you know, that caught my attention, and it was a whole lot of what I grew up doing on the farm, riding in the trails. You know, they throw in some motocross tracks for us, hill climbs, and it was just a variety of things. And it just, to me, it took more skill to be able to come out here and put that all together, and it was just something that really caught me. You know, I really fell in love with it. And not only that, there's classes out here for any of the classes. It's just different people, different levels, whatever skill level you're at riding, whatever type bike you're riding, they've got a class for you. And, you know, just about anybody can leave their house and come out here and get in a class that they're competitive in.
Now, speaking of competitive, Balance has been battling this man all year long. He's second in points. He wears the number 3. He's a fellow Kentuckian, and he's William Yoakley. And as you can see, Yoakley trying to get dialed into what will be a very, very muddy racetrack out here in Indiana. Yoakley trying to pick the best starting spot, and we're going to head down to the start ourselves. We're down here at the start of the Ironman GNCC. It's as prestigious as they get for ATV racing, but unfortunately, it's about as tough as they get too. The rain has stopped, but the course is saturated. Behind me, you're seeing our top 3 riders, Balance, Borich, Yoakley. But they know that today it's anyone's ball game. The course is muddy, and anything can happen. This is going to be the last time these guys are clean all day, so don't get used to them what they look like this. We are ready for the start. This is the Ironman, and they called that for a reason. It's going to take one tough rider to make it to the finish out front in this one, especially with all the mud that's drenched this race course. So we're waiting for the 10-second mark. And the green flag drops, they fire the engines, and they are off into the first turn. The Ironman GNCC is underway, and look at the mud fly. This is going to be a wild one. These courses are tough enough when they're dry, and these guys are going to be covered just a few feet into it. Look at them slipping and sliding. You hear the crowd going wild. The fans love this kind of action, but for the riders, it is going to be a nightmare. They're sliding all over the place. Look to me like the number 13 of Chris Jenks getting the whole shot. First rider clear, and that's going to help him a bunch. You see him ripping tear-offs, trying to get clear vision in his goggles. The rest of these guys are going to be battling roost for the rest of the day. A couple of riders trying, and a rider already, big mistake. That is Jeremy Rice, fresh out of the Pro-Am class, making his debut as a pro. And that's a tough way to start the Ironman. Again, roost is going to be a problem. You're going to be catching all that mud for 2 hours. It's going to be very, very difficult to focus and see in these conditions. Staying clean out front is Jenks. What a way to debut in the pro class, out front early. But again, these are endurance races. An early lead helps a bit. But you can bet that this guy right here, Balance, is going to be coming on strong, trying to track him down. That's a lot of pressure to deal with. The rider that just went through our screen is Chris Borich, number 2 in the series last year, and he has won the last 3 GNCC races this year. So he has all the momentum coming into this one. And there is the veteran, Chad Duvall. Looks like a little more relaxed posture from him. He understands how long, how difficult this race will be. And sometimes going fast early just makes you slow late. And it looks like, lo and behold, Balance has taken the lead. And look at what these riders have to deal with. You see spectators out there trying to point the best lines on this racetrack, and that is key. You cannot practice in GNCC. You come out here the very first time you ride the track is during the race. There's Borich has now moved into the number 2 position, so rapid position changing early in this Ironman GNCC. But Balance has already secured a very familiar number 1 spot on his number 1 Yamaha. Now it looks like Yoakley has moved into the number 2 spot, putting Borich behind him. Those are the 3 guys we expected to see battle today, and it did not take long for them to establish themselves as the top 3 players. Now here's Balance. Got to be happy about this. Out front and in a wide open section, of course. You see him in the field taking a look over his right shoulder. Yeah, he's already trying to calculate this one. How hard does he need to push? In these muddy conditions, it's hard to see, it's hard to stop, And plus, like we said, these guys don't know exactly what's coming up next. They don't get to practice or pre-run these courses. So it's all about attitude. You've got to have a positive attitude out there. And here is Yoakley coming through the field. Now, the thing about Yoakley, he always has fun at these races. And even in these conditions, he said he's going to have a good time. We talked to him about it earlier.
No, I'm thinking about going out there and having some fun. My bike's set up for pretty much any condition, and it does well in dry, muddy, or whatever. And I'm plenty confident in my machine today, so I'm going to go out there and have some fun.
Back out front, Yoakley probably is having fun out there. He has fun no matter what. We could probably hold one of these races in snow and he'd have a good time. Now here's Balance, a water crossing. And look at how chewed out this section is. He's trying to be cautious. Again, they don't know what lines to take their Balance. And Balance has dug himself in. And the rest of the field, they know not to take his line, but they don't know what is actually going to work in this section. There's Boric on your right, trying to get up that hill, is unable to make the climb. And remember, these are our pro riders. Very rarely do you see these guys getting stuck, but this is the Ironman, and they call it that for a reason. Very, very difficult conditions, and you can go wherever you want to go in a section like this. Whatever it takes, whatever you need to do it. You get stuck early like this, it's going to be really hard to come from behind when guys like Balance are pulling away out front. Look at this, now we've got 2, 3, 4 four-wheelers stuck in this section at the same time. And again, if you don't have that early lead, if you don't have that start, you've got to try to pick your way through here with riders stuck. Now, look at this, we've got an entire traffic jam now. Hey, we're in Indiana, this looks like Southern California during rush hour. No one knows where the commuter lane is in this one. No one knows where the fast line is. We got a rider getting stuck before he even got to this hill. That's Jeremy Rice again. We saw Rice get stuck in that hay bale, and he is stuck again. So a very, very difficult way to start the Ironman GNCC for Jeremy Rice. Pushing and shoving, it's a 2-hour race. You're going to get tired from riding. If you've got to push an ATV that weighs about 350, maybe 400 pounds stock, throw about 50 pounds of mud onto it, you got to push it up one of these hills. That takes a lot of energy. So, oh, here we go. Now spectators actually lending their energy. This is legal in GNCC, like we said. Whatever you need to do is what you need to do. And this guy, well, he's hung up. They get about 5 inches of ground clearance, and he's in a 7-inch deep rut. But the spectators, the mud fleas they call them, are going to bail that guy out. And he's got to appreciate that. He not only saved time, but he saved a whole lot of energy, and he's going to be glad. Now this rider, oh! The fans were unable to grab the front bumper that time. Too little, too late. They're going to help him get his machine upright. It looks like he's okay. Good to see that, but this is wild, but this is what we expect. It's GNCC racing. It's as tough a form of motorsport as you're going to find today. Now you wonder, yes, this is a race, but this is about as fast as you can expect to go in a section like this. You're just trying to get through it. It doesn't matter how slow or how fast. You just want to get through that section and reduce the amount of damage in your machine, reduce the amount of damage. Look at this, now steam's starting to pour out of some of these riders' quads, and that means that they are taking on some water, might even lead to some overheating, and that's what happens. Your radiators get plugged up with mud, and, well, you don't get any airflow either when you're not moving. And this guy, well, he's giving up. He's asking spectators for help. There's nothing else he can do at this point. Now we got a machine coming down the hill without a rider. This is wild. I don't think even in our wildest dreams we thought it was going to turn out anything like this. And there is the pilot of that machine. He obviously threw in the towel. No, he's not going to try to ride it down that steep hill. He's going to slide down on his own. The spectators love it. Like we said, by any means necessary. Whatever it takes, that's what you got to do. Back up front with our leaders now. It is Bill Balance maintaining the lead. But look at this. Boric has caught him and is putting pressure on. And they are approaching the finish line. Now, when a mud race like this, when there's so many lines, it's hard to figure out your way through. And they're just trying to figure out the best line right now. There's absolutely no thought as to a race strategy. It's just get through these mud holes. And as the race breaks down later in the game, you'll see these guys try to pick lines and try to make passes. At this point, well, these guys' bumper wheels right there, maybe trying to prove me wrong, but at this point, really, it's just about getting through this mud. And once they learn the track, then it's time to go race. Riders are approaching the finish line. All right, we're here at the finish line. This is timing and scoring central for GNCC Racing. The riders are going to come in here. They have a barcode on the side of their helmet. They scan that barcode just like they would groceries at a grocery store. Information is entered into the computer. That's how we calculate our results. What we've heard right now, unofficially out on the track, is that Bill Balance is out front. But it's going to be very hard to pick these riders apart because they are covered in mud. But when they come here through the finish line, we'll get a good idea of who's doing what. Well, here we are. We are waiting for these guys at the finish line, and yes, indeed, it is Balance. And that's the only way to tell. You can barely read the number 1 in this machine. And there is the number 3 of Yoakley in second place. That's Matt Smiley now moving into the number 3 spot. And there is Chris Jenks, your early leader. Great job sticking with it. And there is Chris Borich. Borich won 3 in a row. Let's talk to him. Down here with Chris Borich. He's number 2 in this series, but he's number 1 right now. If you look at the momentum, he's won 3 races in a row. Chris, 3 in a row. Everything's going your way, but now we've got some rain. Might that upset all the momentum you've built up over the last couple of weeks?
It might. I hope not, but I'm looking forward to it. Got my bike all set up for the mud now, so I'm ready for it.
Well, it's hard to get ready for this. They do as much as they can to prepare these machines. This is professional level racing that we're watching here. Of course, we do have amateurs all over the racetrack. Everybody has some theories on how to set up an ATV to survive 2 hours in rugged condition like this. And the only way to find out who's right is when this race is over. Now here's Balance. Look at him sliding down that steep downhill. Unbelievable skill right there. These are the same hills we saw that rider just ghost his machine down there earlier. And that's the difference between the pro and the amateur. Here's Borich attacking that muddy climb, and that's what we're talking about now. Oh, we got a rider stuck. I think that's Matt Smiley. 2 different theories out working. Well, Matt Smiley getting one of his crew members to help him out here. They're trying to get him pointed at that hill. He's just trying to get a run at that thing. Momentum is key. If you try to start at the very, very bottom, these machines don't have reverse. So now we got another rider going to try to scale that thing. Spectators joining in, grabbing the front bumper, and they're going to get him to the top. So you never know who you're going to root for. If you're a pro rider, you better sign a lot of autographs before this race begins, because you need those spectators to help you, not just root for you, to actually drag you out of the mud. This is Greg True here out of Florida. He's used to riding in the sand, but he's not too bad on this muddy clay, getting to the top of that hill. Well, our leaders have survived, and there is your leader. It is Bill Balance. He is the 5-time and defending champion of this series, and here you see why. Pressure now coming on from Borich. That is Borich on the right side of your screen in the number 2 position. So Borich and Yoakley swapping that number 2 spot, and they're trying to get a look, as are we, at Balance, your race leader. Balance darting through these woods like a deer. We're trying to keep up with him. Our camera crew, they're on flat ground, and they're in a tough time keeping up with Balance, and he's darting through the woods. There you see Borich now, not that far behind, just trying to keep pressure on. Very difficult if Balance is out front and doesn't have to worry about anyone behind him. If he can focus on nothing but the changing track conditions, he's going to be very, very tough to stop. Borich has done what he needed to do. He has closed the gap now, so Balance knows he's there, and we have got a battle on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. The number 1 and the number 2, and look at that. Look at them slide those ATVs through that wide open corner there. These are the best of the best at what they do. And there is Yoakley in third, a little bit of a distance back, not able quite to hold on to Borich. Borich going after the lead. Yoakley just wants to stay there to the end. Back to the woods, back to the mud. Look at how slow Balance goes through this water section right here. And the reason for that, again, it's a long race. You don't want to get your gloves or your goggles covered in mud or water. It's a very uncomfortable way to ride. And these guys got to be a little bit more conservative. Actually, some of our amateur riders, you see them come through that section wide open. They'll do that on the first lap, but late in the race, they will regret it. Here is Yoakley in third. And yeah, he gingerly gets his way through that crossing, builds his momentum, and gets to the top of the hill. Actually, sorry, Yoakley is now in the number 2 position, and there is Borich. So Yoakley making moves. We'll be back. Welcome back. Grand National Cross Country Racing, ATV racing at its best. And here is the best of the best. Bill Balance, your GNCC champion, and he is the leader here at the Ironman. He is in the pits, dumping that Klotz race fuel into his Yamaha YFC 450. Fresh set of goggles, fresh set of gloves, and the champ is off. There is the challenger to the right side of your screen. That is Chris Borich out of Pennsylvania, and he's got a whole bunch of people in there just trying to wipe down his helmet, wipe down his machine, give him gloves, gas, goggles, and he is off. This is Matt Smiley, the veteran, also a Pennsylvanian, riding for the Safari Motorsports crew. And you see the race fuel quickly draining into that machine. New goggles, they're getting some of the mud off of his helmet. And Smiley's going to be underway. A little bit of steam coming out of there, something to be concerned about for sure for Smiley. Pit stops very, very critical all the time in GNCC racing, but especially in a race like this. If you don't get fresh goggles every single lap, you're going to have to try to ride without goggles. And look at how much mud is on the top. This is Greg True here. If any of that mud that's on the top of his helmet were to get in his eyes, his day it would be over. So pit stops more critical than ever on a muddy, muddy race day like this. The rider's stopping in here now, and it looks like he has some equipment problems getting off the machine. And they're going to work on the back end of that. That's actually the rear brake caliper. And the mud can wreak havoc in so many ways. And a lot of times the brakes is underrated, but you can drag the brakes in the mud. Mud just chews through brake pads. And maybe they're going to try to fix that guy and try to give him a little less play possibly in the rear brake. He does have some fresh gloves on if that's going to help him. And he gets that machine started, and he'll be underway. Okay, he's gotten it done. Whatever equipment damage he had, they decided it is not bad enough to stop him from churning out another lap here at the Ironman. This is Chad Duvall, the veteran of the AmPro Yamaha team. Duvall trying to communicate with his pit crew, trying to talk about how his machine is running. Not really enough time to make any changes to the equipment, at least on this lap, but they might be prepared the next time around with a little bit of a change in strategy. It's so difficult to guess what you're going to need every time you come into the pits. We talked to our 3-time GNCC women's champ, Tracy Checo, about pit stops. All right, we're here in the pro pits. Tracy, you raced out here in the morning. You had to deal with the mud. You had to come in the pits. Now you're also part of one of the pro pit crews out here. What does a rider need when they come into the pits?
Well, first thing you're going to need is goggles. Vision is very important. You're going to need glove change so they can hang on to the bike. Also, there's a lot of mud building up on top of the helmet. So it's very important for the pit crews to get that mud off the helmet so they can breathe and keep their head up high so they can see what all the dangers that are coming ahead of them.
Can gas mileage be affected by this? I know the tires are spinning, the quads are heavier. You might get stuck for a while. Is it change a strategy of how many times you might have to come into the pits?
I think they'd be pretty good at fueling one time, but they have to make sure they fuel on the right lap. I'm guessing they should fuel second, third lap would be a good time to be fueling for these guys.
All right, it's going to be exciting. They're going to be in here in just a minute. Thanks.
Welcome.
Well, white flag is out. Nearing the end of this 2-hour extravaganza here, and we're showing you the best highlights that this race has to offer. And as we wait for these riders to come in, it's anyone's guess what's happening on the racetrack. We do have spectators all over this course, but you never know what's going to happen. Every single corner in a GNCC has danger laying in wait for these guys. So we'll see what happens. Riders coming in here, getting scanned here at the finish line, and he is off. I don't know if that guy's satisfied with his position or not. Doesn't really matter. He's just glad to get one more lap in the books. And now we found our leaders, and looks to me like that is Forage. Yes, it is Forage, but look at that Balance right behind him. So that's what we're talking about. Balance had the lead last time we saw these guys, but there has been a change, and Yoakley not too far behind, lurking in the shadows of the number 3 spot. We've got a nice pack of riders. Some of them now, rider you see right there, that is an amateur rider. He has become lap traffic. Very, very difficult to get around these tracks. It's even worse when slower riders, well, they're either in front of you or they're even getting stuck. This fella going to try to take another crack at this hill, trying to get traction over the back of the seat as far as he can go, unable to do anything but just simply spin his tires on this very, very slippery terrain. Well, he's going to give up on that line. He's going to take a new one. No reverse on that one, but he's going to do a little manual donut there. There we go. He's got that thing straightened out. Now let's see how well this line works out for this guy. Churning, churning, churning. He finally gets going. But first, you don't succeed. Try again. And again, in a 2-hour race, you don't have to worry about losing a little bit of time like that. These guys, well, that amount of time might be a little bit more of a factor. Balance, Borich, Yoakley, Jenks, and Matt Smiley. That is your top 5 here at the Ironman. Balance has been in control of this race for the majority. We saw Borich had gotten the lead, but yes, once again, it is Balance out front. You see why. Look at that YFC 450 just dance its way through what has become a very, very rough and whooped out racetrack. And we wait for our second place rider to buzz through here. And it looks like it's now Yoakley. So it has been a back and forth battle between all 3 of these guys. And I don't know what happened to Borich. Borich, look at that, coming to a stop and trying to communicate with a couple of people in his pit crew. So maybe some equipment problems. And now we see Yoakley, and I don't know what happened to Balance. Yoakley coming into our picture first, So Yoakley, who was third no more than a few minutes ago, has now moved into the number 1 spot, and there is Boric in second. And here is our leader. What has happened to Bill Balance in control of this race for most of the day, and now he is in the pits trying to find out what exactly went down with our champ.
We went into the last lap. I went in at third and started noticing that the bike was steaming, blowing out some antifreeze, and just kept on riding it, hoping that it would hold together, and wound up working my way back up to the front, got a little bit of lead, but then the motor went down on me and quit running. So that's it, you know. At Ironman, when mixed with rain, stuff like this kind of track, it's going to happen with these conditions. So just good been here today. We had a good race going. Just wished I could have finished it.
Well, I'm sure he does. It's the worst thing to do is to have an equipment problem on the last lap. He puts in all the effort, gets the machine dirty, gets tired, and then he doesn't finish the race. You might as well not even have come and race today, Bill. Meanwhile, speaking of racing, we've got Boric on the comeback trail, but it's going to be too little too late because we are waiting at the finish line, and there it is, William Yoakley. What a ride by that guy. Patience pays off. He didn't crash. He didn't falter. He kept his machine together, and William Yoakley out of Tompkinsville, Kentucky has won the Ironman GNCC. Great effort by that rider right there, Chris Boric, but he will not be able to get it done. The number 2 rider is going to have to settle for second place today, but after a race like this, nothing to be ashamed of. We'll be back after this. We are at the podium, the victory circle of the Ironman GNCC. It's Grand National Cross Country Racing from Indiana, the final round of our 14-race series. And there is a very happy runner-up finisher. Chris Boric put in a great ride for second. And look at that, in third place, that is Chris Jenks. A spectacular ride for him. He has got to be pumped. Chris Jenks making his debut in the pro class today. Got a great start, and he will take third. But no one is as happy as that man. William Yoakley taking the win here at the Ironman. He is pumped. But let's talk to our second and third place riders, Boric and Chris Jenks. Chris Jenks, second time in the podium in your career. You've got to be pumped. This is the Ironman.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable day. I didn't know what to think with all the rain and forecast today. I just wanted to finish, maybe top 5, to get on the podium. I don't know what to say. It's unbelievable.
Well, Chris Boric, your winning streak comes to an end at 3, but what a way to go out. It was a good race.
Yeah, it was great towards the end there. Just had a good battle in the beginning. And on the third lap, I think I was in the lead, came out of the woods and waffled the tree with the rear end, went the other sideways and just started barrel rolling. So they got by me. I was probably like a minute down and I reeled them back in like 30 seconds. But I'm pretty happy finishing the year, second year, so looking forward to next year.
This race is one of my favorite. I always love this track. I've won here maybe 5 times throughout the years. This is my 3rd win of the year. I'm stoked. I won the first round and I won the last round. It's going to be a fun winter. Getting ready. I'm pumped. I'm ready for 2005.
Well, he's definitely ready. All these guys are ready for fun today, but they had to earn it if they want to get on the podium and shake that champagne. They had to deal with the toughest off-road racing series in the country, and that makes the taste of victory even sweeter. William Yoakley on your right, he is your Ironman champion, and he is pumped up. We want to thank everyone for joining us for Grand National Cross Country Racing. We hope you can join us again next season as our champions celebrate. It's been a great season, and we hope to see you next time we go GNCC Racing.